Hey, have you heard of World Anvil yet? On the off chance that you haven't, they're an online platform for world building, campaign running, and writing in general. It's awesome and I talk about it a lot. If you have heard of World Anvil and thought that it was confusing, it's really easy to get started with the Codex section, Getting Started. You could also watch their video guides or using any of How to Be a Great GM's video guides. And once you get started, it's really hard to stop. The platform is the perfect guiding hand for anyone with writer's block, and they keep updating with new features like full text searches, custom categories, full templates for topics, and empty article widget things. I'm gonna keep telling you to try it, but for now here's Swampmen.
Oh holy crap, happy birthday.
Welcome to Basically Lizard Folk, the snake people race that no one knows how to play the right way. Because most of us are monkey people with empathetic brains. But a lizard folk cleric would look at the dead bodies of party members, and instead of reviving anyone, would eat their flesh and carve their bones into arrows. Let's look at their mentality. As territorial as college roommates, these cold-blooded swamp people share more in common with Komodo dragons and other monitors than they do with us. And we have more in common with bananas than fruit flies. The more you know. But their territory and stalwart defense of said territory has nothing to do with emotions. Because they don't have them. As opposed to people who suffer from certain emotional detachment or mental dispositions and have to take the time to learn emotions, lizard folk don't do that shit. Every action ever taken by just about any lizard folk is fueled by only two motives: making survival easier for themselves and survival. It's as simple as that, but it's still hard to wrap my head around. They'd look at a painting that covers a cathedral from wall to wall, walk past all of it and pick up a stick in the corner of the room.
This stick can defend me from enemies and start a fire to keep me warm. It clearly is this chamber's only prize.
Utility is the name of the game, and lizard folks are the lords of immediate survival. If you are a creature that saved their life 7 times, they'll see you as a tool that prolongs their survival. But if you die once, there's no favor to repay. You're a pile of meat and tools to them now. Their lack of prospecting and building friendships or grudges is both a detriment and a saving grace. They don't waste time crying over spilled milk. If you steal their cookies, they won't hurt you unless you have more cookies. And if you slay their entire tribe, they just look up at you and say something like,
"You are stronger than me. I have no desire to die, and I will now keep my distance."
The very few of them who understand humanoid emotions, after years of scholarly prospecting with other humanoids, do so only for the sake of dealing with them. For example, if a companion has a pet pig, a real juicy chonker of a porker, the lizard folk will want to eat it. But killing and eating the pig would mean losing the companion's help forever, and even cause them to attack the lizard folk. So eat pig bad, for now. Very few of them take the time to learn arcane magic, and some of them become druids in service of Lizard Satan, and they ascend as fucking lizard kings. Reptile people who have magic are seen as rulers because they have more tools than other reptile people. The tribes that form around this hierarchy of who's the best at being alive have very basic structures, and aside from the huts that they build, they're closer to wolf dens than a goblin tribe. Its purpose is solely strength in numbers, because 40 lizard folk defending against a troll is a lot better than 1. That's almost the only reason that tribes exist. The one other cause for unity is when they serve a dragon. Lizard folk speak Draconic for no known reason, and they assume it ties their history to powerful dragons. So when their territory crosses over a great lizard god, they offer as much as they can to appease that dragon. But when some asshole like a red dragon gets gifts from them, he thinks,
"Oh hey, these idiots do whatever I say and they won't plot against me. I'm gonna turn them into raiders."
And then suddenly you have a bunch of emotionless dudes running into town, stealing tasty babies and shiny things that they don't care about because the red dragon said so. Aside from creatures stronger than themselves, they also worship a lizard god, named what I believe is Semuanya. And this is his creed: "I literally couldn't care less about my worshippers. They should fend for themselves, because I'm busy. So that's my domain, I guess. I'm gonna go fight a minotaur or something because my scales are invincible." I really love how they see humans. They look at us, suffering from the grief of a lost loved one, or working tirelessly to get revenge on a person who stole their wife. and then they think.
Wow, it sucks that you're so dumb and bad at looking for food. If I could, I would feel sorry for you.
Aside from their boon of being cold and calculated, they have a small number of helpful abilities. They can fall asleep in the bathtub for a tight 15 and not drown. They have the jaw strength of a cleric slamming a mace into your face. They have armor that rivals monks and barbarians, and they can MacGyver anything out of anything. The Cunning Artisan ability is one of my favorites to play after a fight. During a short rest, they can turn corpses of slain enemies into shields, darts, clubs, javelins, or other simple weapons or tools. Like, imagine killing a tyrannical baron of a small village, then having your lizard buddy just rip his skull and spine out, then start beating people with it. Lizard folk don't give a fuck about moral confines. If you tell them what they just did was not okay, they're going to smack you with the baron's leg and then eat some meat off of it. The one other aspect of their nature I want to cover is their speech patterns. You know how Drax didn't understand jokes or metaphors in the start of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie? And then he just kind of figured it out off screen? Well, going back to his first few minutes of screen time is very close to how a lizard folk would act. They don't get names or titles, they don't get jokes, and instead of talking about outcomes of actions, they just talk in actions. If a ranger were to say something like, "Keep an eye out for small game," we could use a meal. Not able to find a loose eye or a tiny set of dice, they would agree that meal equals good. To explain it to them, you would have to say something like, "Search the ground for hiding food to kill, cook, and eat. We would like food to eat." A rogue having finished a heist might comment something like, "That was a piece of cake." And then the lizard folk would dive back into the building and search for this cake. They also don't relay what they're feeling, or ever really refer to themselves, as that usually involves an outcome and not an action. So instead of saying, "I feel weak," they would say,
"The last battle caused tired."
or being hungry translates to,
"I will find food now."
because wasting time is for idiots who want to die. And for names, they just use descriptors, usually in common, so they will insult you without a second thought, and that's your name now. This guy, his name's Fat. This tiefling, whose name is Promise? No, you're purple. Blue. Loud. Stripes. Ugly. Feminine hips. Strong. And they might hurt your feelings, but they don't give a fuck. Feelings are for the weak-minded. And that's basically lizard folk. Lizard folk I'm dumb.